Welcome to another episode. Let's talk about solar and how to protect your investment into renewable energy. I have an expert when it comes to that. Harry, why don't you introduce yourself and the company you represent, and we'll start with that.
Hey, thank you, Matthew. My name is Harry Wolkenfelt. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Solarif. And within Solarif, we have three divisions. One is the insurance part, where we insure solar systems mainly. In the last few years, we've added other hybrid systems with solar, specialized purely on the project side. So during construction and the project itself, when it's operational. And then we also have a second company called Solarif Risk Management. That's where we do the inspections to be sure that the installations are installed properly in the right way, functioning as it should, and giving the performance as expected. And if that's all as expected and on to our, let's say, requirements, then we are willing to provide a more comprehensive cover on the insurance side. And then we have a third company called Solarif Matchmaker, and that's where we bring, like a real estate agency, we bring projects and investors together.
Yes, we spoke about the matchmaker at length last year, so I remember those conversations. It's a great product for sure and service. And who do you typically serve at Solarif?
Our clients are mainly it depends on the activity. Like on the insurance side, it's always the owner of the system. And the owner could be a business because we don't do residential houses. We only do commercial utility. So on the owner side, it would be an investor, an investment fund, but it could also be a business owner who puts a solar system on his roof. Yeah. It could also be an energy cooperative where people from a village, for example, come together and decide to invest all together into a park and use the electricity in their village. So it's always the owner, mainly the owner of a system, but we're also not only focused on the project, we can also insure companies active in the solar. So that means that an installer could also be a client of us. An EPC company could be a client of us. A developer could be a client of us. So yeah, those are the clients on the insurance side.
And by that, the company side, does it mean that if something goes wrong during the installation process that they're insured, or is that something?
If they did something wrong, and that could be based on an advice, then such a company should have, let's say, a professional indemnity insurance. Yeah, that's also something we could arrange, or a directors and officers insurance, protecting them, mainly protecting their private money against a mistake in the company. That can go down. And you can also have, let's say, a panel manufacturer who wants to insure that product liability, or they want to insure the warranty of the panel during a certain period to become more bankable. So the insurance side is more than, let's say, there's more insurances than people think available in the market, and it depends on what kind of risk do you want to address. And then we search for the right insurance in the market, because we're not an insurer, we're an insurance broker. And on the risk management side, our clients are also, again, owners, because they for example, in the Dutch market, and at once the installation goes operational, you are obliged by the insurers to have a certain inspection to be done. And if there are issues, you have to solve the issues before you get insurance. So there our clients are, again, owners of systems, but our clients could also be the installer or the EPC company installing the installation for a client. It could be utility, could be ground mounted, could be a roof or a floating system. But the owner or the future owner asks the installer to arrange the scope 12 inspection, and then we are working with the installer. But as you know, we talked about that in the past. We also do inspections in the factories in China, making sure that the quality of the products purchased are meeting the requirements of what the client thinks he bought, that he's really getting it. We call that Solarif certified. And once again, when you're Solarif certified, you have advantages on the insurance side. So, and then you have the matchmaker, well, project owners, and on the other side, the investors who we bring together. So those are our clients on the matchmaker side.
And when it considers solar, obviously it's a long-term investment, but there's so many moving parts that can go wrong, especially on a larger size, larger installation side, that
Yeah.
it's absolutely a necessity at this point to make sure that you're protecting your assets, protecting your investment, especially if this is a financial vehicle, right? Financial instrument that is supposed to produce energy for the next 20 years, ideally, maybe even longer. So you want to make sure that you're protected. And like you've mentioned, multiple risk factors in any solar installation, big or small, that can go wrong. And sometimes they do. I mean, obviously, it's still operated and usually it's installed by human beings that sometimes make mistakes, and there are so many moving
Yeah.
parts. You have different
Yeah.
risk parts of an
Yeah.
installation. Goes a long way to have a protection for your assets like that.
Well, protection and you protect your asset, and your asset is a material. It's the product itself. It's the insulation, but it also generates money. That's the outcome of it. And especially on let's say on installations on rooftops, it's really strange that people decide to take an insurance and put the solar system inside their building insurance, where that if something goes wrong, they may or may not get the claim paid on the material side, but they don't get the business interruption compensated. I always think that's really strange
Interesting.
because the cash flow was normally the reason of buying the insulation. But on the insurance side, you're not taking care of that. You're only insuring the material damage, but you're not insuring your business interruption, your cash flow, if it's not there because of a damage. Like, why?
Wow. So you put this so you can actually ensure the cash flowing element of the installation as well.
Yes. Inside, but in our insurance, which we developed specific for this, saying, no, don't put the insulation inside your building insurance because first of all, you will not have a full good cover of a material damage. That's first thing. But secondly, if there's a damage, building insurances normally do not cover your business loss. But that was the reason why you took the thing. And that's not what you're not going to cover on your insurance. Mad.
Yes, and I know
Strange.
I heard stories where a lot of investors, let's say, or even business owners, smaller business owners who invest into solar, they even forgot to add solar to their
Well, no.
the regular insurance that they have, and you have to notify, obviously, whether it's for your home or for your business. You have to
Yeah.
notify your insurance company that now you have solar on top of it, which obviously it's a significant investment as well, and it's a fire hazard in some cases. It can catch fire
Yeah.
on fire, and there's but it's interesting with the cash flowing element as well.
But then you have a discussion with your insurer, and he could say, well, you didn't report the insulation, so it's not covered. So, and if there's a fire and the fire was started by the insulation, is your house covered then? I don't know yet because you have to read the full documents, the full policy documents to be sure of like, is it covered or is it not covered? But, it happens to what you said. It happens to me every year, not only on rooftops, because well, you could think like, okay, forgot to report the insulation in my building insurance. But if you build a ground mounted system, that's not small. Normally that's big. And the owner calls me and says, "Oh, Harry, we need an insurance." When? Well, yesterday. So, why yesterday? Oh, I forgot to report that we have another installation done and it should be insured and it's already functioning. Please get it done as quick as possible. Like every year.
It's
So I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll
it's
get it done as quick as possible. But every time when it happens, I'm amazed. Like, how can you forget to get the insurance? It's if you have a big park, one of the requirements of the bank is to have an insurance in place.
sure. Yes,
And then you
exactly.
forget to get the insurance done. Like,
Yeah, and it's
okay.
your money. It's not your bank's money. It's often your money, and you forget to protect it. It's it's always those in hindsight when it's too late. You look into that then. But Harry, how did it all start? How did you end up in the solar world? Did you know that from the very beginning you're going to get into the renewable energy space?
Yeah. Well, how I ended up at that moment, I was co owner of a venture capital company.
So Harry, how did it all start? Obviously, you were born, you went through high school, you went to school, and you knew you're going to join the solar revolution, or was it something else? Like, how
No,
did your career?
absolutely not. I was born in Australia, in fact, and then after 14 years, my parents decided to go back to the Netherlands, and I was 8, and I had nothing to say. I had just had to join them and go to the Netherlands, and that's it. And ended up in the Netherlands as an Australian guy, boy, only talking English, and so I didn't speak any Dutch. And I went from Brisbane on the seaside, sunny coast, sunshine, beaches, to the Netherlands in the winter, and it started to snow. So that was my welcome into the Netherlands. And so during the period, I wanted to really become a player, professional football player. And I didn't succeed at that because of really bad knees, and ended my career as a football player. I reached Vitesse, which is a professional football club, at a young age. And unfortunately, I would live in Arnhem. Vitesse is a professional football club from Arnhem, but the club was terminated last week, and they withdraw their professional license to play professional football in the Netherlands, because they did some, let's say, I don't know exactly what, but it was not appreciated by the football organization of the Dutch. Their license was terminated. So that also happened this week. And I'm living here. If I would stand on the top of the roof of this building, I could look at on the stadium of Vitesse. So somewhere, always Vitesse is in the middle of my life, but now unfortunately it ended, because the club will not play professional football or soccer, as some people call it, next year. And then I went to study. I studied facility management, and couldn't get a job in that. Ended up in the bank world. Didn't like insurances. I didn't like mortgages. I didn't like credits. The only thing I liked was the stocks and bonds and options and futures. And so after 1 year, I said, well, I want to go and work on the department of the stocks and bonds and options. But it was a saving bank. They said, well, we don't have such a department. So I said, okay, well, that's clear for me then. I have to leave. So left the bank and found another bank, which is nowadays called ING. They were willing to give me a traineeship for advisory of stocks and bonds. So went into that and became one of the head of the stock and bonds advisory of the ING bank. Then I stepped over to another bank in the Netherlands, which is more like wealth management bank, and became one of the directors there. Decided to step out of the bank world because, well, I thought they have lost their soul. And that was in 2004 and 2005. And, did some interim management consultancy jobs. Thought that was going to be, because in the meeting with one of the CEOs, he said, Harry, of the bank, and he said, Harry, please just do what we ask you to do. This is square, and stay inside and just do your thing. And I said, you're too much entrepreneur. And I said, too much entrepreneur. You're totally right. So in the same meeting, I resigned myself and said, okay, good, let's leave. Give me some money and I'll start a company. And because you're totally right, I'm too much entrepreneur for working at a bank. So I went out. I thought, like, let's start doing interim management. Did that for about 3 years. Really good jobs, well paid. Didn't like it at all. Like, you do your stuff, you get something done. Once it's all up and running, you have to leave. Like, what is it? Like, nah, it's not for me. I want more, doing something else, and staying on and working with the team. And then I bought myself into a venture capital company. We did startups, investing in startups. Was
In
nice.
the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, yes.
That's
And did
interesting.
that for about 5 years. Really loved it in the beginning until we got all our money invested. And I was young. I think in those days I was about 40, impatient, and once we had everything invested, I had to become a coach or a mentor of the entrepreneurs. And lots of times I thought, like, guy, get off that chair. I'm going to do it myself. I can do it better. And that's not what you should do as an investor. You should step back and just, like, be a coach, be a mentor, whatever you need to do. But okay, this is not for me. It's boring. once you have invested all your money. And at a certain point, I was sitting with two friends. That was 17 years ago. And they started a solar company in the Netherlands. And believe me, 17 years ago, there was really nothing. There was no solar at all in the Netherlands. Yeah. There was a bit of solar in Germany. There was some solar in Belgium, and that was it. There was nothing else. And they had a company starting to sell solar, which was really difficult in the Dutch market. And they came to me and said, "Hey, Harry, can you think you're clever, you're creative? We want to create recurring business with our company." And I said, "Well, does it need some maintenance?" "Yeah, it needs maintenance." I said, "Okay, and can something happen with it?" "Yes, it could damage and it could not perform." I'm like, "Okay, and why are you not selling that?" Like, "Yeah, people have doubts because in those days, the solar panels were going to do 25 years of work, giving a certain amount of production, and they came from China." And they were like, "I don't believe it." So if you want to sell, you have to give people at least the comfort that they're going to gain what they think they bought, the performance of the system, and earning money with it. So I said, "Okay, take away all the risk and just say, we will sell you a system that always works. And if it doesn't work, then at our cost, we will repair it or replace it or whatever. But you will get back a functioning system." "But how are we going to do that, Harry?" I said, "Well, make a contract, a service contract. They buy the contract, they pay money for it, and for that, you take care. But there's a lot of risk." "I don't know, but I think they invented an insurance company for that. So go and find an insurance company willing to take that risk." Like, "That's a good idea. We're going to do that service contract. But Harry, can you help us? Because you're from the financial world. We're not from the financial world. We need insurance. Can you arrange insurance?" Like, "You know what? I think it's a great idea. If you become my first client, my launching customer, I will set up a company and we're going to insure solar systems." So that's what we did. So went home, told my wife, like, "Hey, darling, we have a new company. We're going to insure solar systems." "But Harry, you've never done anything on the insurance side. For a fact, a few years ago at the insurance company, when you were working at the saving bank, you hated insurances and you don't know anything about solar." "Good point.
Good point.
But I already promised my two friends that I'm going to arrange it. So, and if you promise your friends to do something, you really need to do it." Like, okay, what is needed? And after 3 days, I really feel like I'm a stupid idiot. You need registrations, you need certificates, you need diplomas, you need to be part of the Dutch Financial Market Authority. I'm like, God, I don't have any certificates. I don't have diplomas. I don't have any knowledge about solar. I don't have knowledge about insurances. Okay, what now? Okay, I have a lot of friends who are active somehow in the insurance. I'm going to call them. And everybody who said, "That's a great idea, Harry. Okay, come and join me." And I found 3 other crazy guys with insurance knowledge. And like, going to do that. So we gave them some shares in the company, and we started a company insuring solar systems. And we set up our own policy, and then we went into the market to the insurers and said, "Who's willing to take this risk?" And we found one guy who said, "I think the idea is good, but are we going to pay money to learn how it works?" I said, "Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're going to lose money." "Why should we lose money already when we know that we're going to lose upfront? If we don't do it, we're not going to learn. And it's going to be a huge market in the future." "How do you know it's going to be a huge market?" I said, "Well, there's a lot of sun and we need electricity. I don't know more than that, but I think that's great. And there's risk and we don't know the risk, but we need cover because otherwise banks are not going to put money into it. So we need an insurance and we need people to be confident. Yeah. And we need somebody to join us and pay some lessons. And you're an honest guy. I think I could do business with you. Let's do it." And that's how we got our first insurer on board and started 17 years ago insuring solar systems in the Netherlands. And after a half year, I'm like, okay, it's not going to work. We're going to go bankrupt. There's no business. Like, okay, we'll figure something out.
Wow. So quickly?
Yeah, it was really bad. But the same for my two friends who had an installer company. They were not growing quick enough. So they also had a lack of income to pay themselves salaries. Like, okay, there's a lot of business in Belgium. Let's go to Belgium. Let's start doing this business in Belgium. They went to Belgium. I followed because I promised them I will do the insurances wherever you go. I will go to and will do the insurances. So that's how we started insuring solar installations in Belgium. And they became they became the market leader in Belgium 16 years ago. And we became one of the market leaders on insuring solar systems because every system they sold was covered by the insurance.
And there was no language barrier or any challenges with that? How do you it's not like you're moving to a different state in the United States. You're moving to a different country, different
Yes,
regulations, different rules, different language. How do you do that?
absolutely. Belgium, lucky enough, is divided in two parts. You got Wallonia and you got Vlaanderen. Wallonia, they speak French, and in Vlaanderen, they speak Dutch. A little bit different, but we understand each other.
I see.
So we could do business there. And with the French side, if they wanted to do business, I just say, okay, we could do business, but we communicate everything and we in English. Oh, we can't do English. Oh, well, I have one other thing. It's Dutch. We can't do Dutch. Okay, then we can't do business because I don't speak any French. I don't communicate in French. So it's Dutch or English. That's it. And that's how we did business in Belgium. And then my two friends who were with two people, they grow as a company to maybe about 200 people doing
Wow.
400 installations a week.
A week?
In a week. And they
Wow.
were active at a certain point in the Netherlands, in the UK, in France, in Belgium, in Spain, in Italy. And they became the biggest solar installer for residentials in Europe in those days. And my company, on insuring the whole company, but also insuring all their installations, we grew with them. And that's how we became a market leader in a lot of those countries, insuring solar systems on residential houses.
That's incredible.
Yes.
400 installation. I had 51 projects at one time. I remember managing, and I was essentially I could remember where each project is in my head by this stage, but this was 51 active project, not like per week active projects, but 400. That's a massive.
In those days, that was amazing. And then in 2012, they went bankrupt.
How in the world do you go bankrupt at this point?
Exactly how? Well,
They installed all the houses and businesses.
no, in those days, they had a huge pipeline of quotes outstanding.
Mm.
And there was a problem that there was a lack. You can't imagine now because now we have too much panels. Panel manufacturers have a huge amount of panels in stock now, and the price, they're even selling panels below the production price at the moment. But in those days, in 2012, there was a shortage of panels, and they had this huge pipeline of quotations outstanding. So what they did, they went to China, to Yingli, because that was a famous brand in those days, and they bought for 80 million panels, not 80 million panels, but for 80 million euros on panels. Yes, that was the biggest deal ever made in China on solar panels at that point. And once they signed it, well, like, okay, now we have enough panels to fulfill all our requests from clients and the quotations, and we can grow because we established the market and we have panels on stock. And the panels were coming in on stock in the warehouses. And at that point, I think it was Italy, France, and the UK, because in those days, solar was depending on subsidy. And Spain, Italy, France, and the UK, pretty much in the same period, closed their so suddenly there was no subsidies in those countries, and that took away the need. People like, oh, I can't get subsidy, then probably it's not interesting anymore. I don't want a system. So that ended up in nearly no cells on their side, and they had a huge amount of panels. So they had to sell against really ridiculous low prices to get those panels out of the warehouses to any other company searching for panels. And they took a loss. I think it was 23 or 4 million. And the bank, I think it was the Rabobank at that point, they didn't want to put money into it anymore. And within let's say, within a company at the top, even in negotiations of selling the company for a huge amount of money, half a year later, it was bankrupt. And the Rabobank didn't want to put money into it. If they would have done a little bit more money into it as an investor, I think they would have had the biggest solar residential company in the world. But it ended up nothing. And it left me with a huge loss because they still had to pay me a lot of money on premiums for insurance, which I had to transfer to the insurers.
Yeah.
So I had to negotiate with insurers about the premium, how to pay it back, and otherwise, because also they didn't have any orders, but because they didn't have any orders, we didn't get any insurances anymore, and they were far ahead my biggest client because I knew because I'm from the investment world, and like you should not be too dependent on one big company, but they grew much faster than I could grow my own sales. And you're not going to say like, oh, in the books, it's written that your biggest client should not be more than 20%. Like, so you go to your client and say like, well, in the book says written, it's 20%. So I can't do anything for you anymore. Like, it's not the way it goes, you know? Like you just go with the flow. They became far too big and then they went bankrupt and they nearly took us down too. Solved that problem and went on. They're bankrupt. We did a few really nice things. So we for example, the three biggest solar parks in those days was 136 megawatt. Yeah. And
Decent size.
there were three of them in Thailand. And we insured that. The first biggest utility scale park in the UK. We insured that one. We did a lot of, let's say, going outside Europe or outside or to other countries just to stay in life and get deals done. And that's how we survived. And still here, still the first owner, still no other investors on board, no banks on board. It's me, it's my company. And in the meantime, my son joined the company, and my daughter became a little shareholders in the company. It's a family company. Very proud of it. Very proud of my team. Still being here after 17 years. I don't know much solar companies already 17 years in the business in Europe, still there in the hands of the first owner. Not a lot of them. So I'm pretty.
Yeah, not a lot of them. Yes, the company I was with, fun fact, we took over Rabobank's office space for our headquarters when it was then. But similar story, there was a lot of problems and a large company as well went down, unfortunately. But they're still operating in Europe, in Poland, and now entering Africa. African market is becoming popular right now. But my question before you come on that is: are you still friends with your partners on the first
Absolutely.
line?
Still talking with them.
Love it.
Well, not every Sunday. On a regular basis, I play golf with one of them on the Sunday morning. So now, every company has the possibility of going bankrupt.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure that every owner of a huge company, if you would ask him one-on-one, hey, was it always great? No, Harry, we were nearly bankrupt, all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it's hard. It's not easy to grow a company. It's not easy to keep a company growing or keeping it alive. Especially in the solar business, in the beginning, it was based on subsidies, and subsidy comes from governments, and governments are your worst partners because you cannot predict what they're going to do.
Yes,
so that's so I think, let's say, solar being independent of subsidies these days, going into the PPAs, having agreements, selling your electricity to an activity in the building or to a utility or to the government. It's a much more healthy business model than, by the way, the return is only good because we have subsidy. It's not a healthy business case.
Absolutely. That happened here as well, where the utility companies, which we only have one per region at this point, changed the regulations, and they switched their metering systems to make it pretty much impossible to see any returns on your solar system. So you may wait 15 to 20 years to get your money back. And then at this point, you're pretty much need to new solar system, because maybe it's going to work for another 5 or 10 years, maybe not. But most likely you already moved out of this building or you moved out of this house. And at this point, the investment pretty much didn't make much sense. And you need energy storage, you need batteries to make sure that they're operating, you need decent size to power the batteries, and the batteries have to be big. And from what I'm hearing, that there's still not many batteries and energy storage systems that can last as long as the solar panels.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
if you look
tricky.
at the storage I just bought a storage for my home, and I was looking at it like, okay, I want a storage that I don't want to put it inside the house. It's just too risky. So wanted an installation that could be placed outside the building, outside the home. Then a lot of storages sold for residential use, you can't place them outside because they can't.
They have to be enclosed into
They're not
something that.
close enough. The water will go into it and it will damage the system. That's also another problem. Like, and even if they are outside, what are the security measures taken to prevent, if there's a fire, to prevent a runaway or to the different stacks and burning down your house, or an explosion. And so there's a lot of risk about why I don't want a storage inside my house, but outside my house. But finding one which fulfilled my needs and my requirements was not easy. So there's a lot of innovation still to be done on the storage side. And even on the utility side, in America, you had one of the worst claims ever until this moment on storage. I think it cost about $800 million US. Full park with containers went down and burned down.
Wow. I have heard that one.
Yeah, so the insurers already lost a lot of money learning about storage. So they're
That's a big
very
lesson.
careful
Yeah.
about insuring solar or insuring storage. Sorry.
Well, I hope you didn't forget to add your energy storage to the insurance, or find an appropriate insurance for your storage system. But it's
Absolutely.
a risk.
Well, the one thing I know for sure, you add it to the insurance of the house insurance, but the house insurance is also not a good insurance for solar and storage. So yeah, but it is what it is. The insurers, they still have to understand the risk better and to start developing new products which are more focused on renewables. And but it's going to take a little bit more time before
Yeah.
insurers are to that level.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen in Europe a lot of solar farms picking up, especially in countries like Poland, for the last 4 or 5 years, but it slows down now. I don't know where the industry is heading right now, but I would be curious to hear your take. Where do you think the solar is heading in Europe, and maybe even worldwide, if you can take
I
your.
think
Yeah.
if you look at the Netherlands, at a certain point, you got Europe, all the countries, and the Netherlands was really the worst country for the amount of panels placed per head of a house. Yeah. And only Malta was below us. Now the Netherlands in the last years was number 1 or number 2, yeah, in that area. So we have the highest amount of panels per house now in Europe. Yeah, so we made a huge increase. But now at this point, it's nearly residentials are not buying panels anymore. And still, there's a lot of possibilities also here because, let's say, a subsidy. I'm not going to explain how it works, but there's also a subsidy is going to go away in 2027. And because of that, people are like, whoa, can't be interesting anymore. So it stopped. And because of that, there's a lot of also solar companies went bankrupt who are focused on residentials. And you can see that all over Europe now, that there's a decrease. It's not growing as fast as before. But this is the third time I experienced such a decrease in 17 years' time. And it will come back because solar, it's the only way forward. It's the easiest way forward. It's the cheapest way forward. And so I expect that Europe will start increasing after everybody's like looking at it like, I made my calculations. It's still interested interesting to invest in solar. Let's put it on the roof again or on the ground. And so also in Poland, it will come back again. In other countries, it will grow because there's no other choice at the moment. Yeah. Where I see a lot of growth now is in, outside Europe. Europe is still okay. If I see my clients, they're still investing. That's not going to stop. But the growth will come from, let's say, Latin America, Africa. There's a lot happening in Africa. Huge projects, 50 megawatt, 100 megawatt, 200 megawatt, 300 megawatt, adding immediately storage to it. It's good business. Good,
If you're
but
if
really
you're
difficult to get business done in Africa.
I can I'm laughing because I can tell my brother just came back from Africa 5 days ago, and it's they're working on some interesting projects there. It's a large scale, obviously, but it's much more difficult to do business there because of their
It's difficult also because still, I don't want to say too hard, but it's a fact. There is still a lot of corruption, and you have to pay a lot of people to get a project done, and that's the biggest problem I think at the moment. Getting everything in place to be able to start the development and get the development to ready to build, and then do the construction and get it operational and everything what's needed to get to that point, and everybody wants a piece of the cake, makes it far more expensive than it should be. So that's not easy. And then once it's operational, you have to protect it really, really good. So that's fences, cameras, security with weapons. They're like, come on, but if you don't do it, well, it gets stolen. And it's not only in Africa, in the Netherlands, if you don't have any cameras and motion detection and the alarm going to the alarm center and followed up by security, we suffered last year enormously in the Netherlands because of theft. So theft is not only something from Africa. Theft is happening also in Europe. The Netherlands, we suffered for 2 years, paying more claims on theft than premiums coming in. So
one of the previous guests, he developed a robot. He called it a bulldog that drives through the installation sites like utility scale and large scale farms.
yes,
But the main, and they also have the owl, the 360 cameras. But the main job with this is to find out, obviously, for the robot to find some burning panels, browning panels, maybe loose cables, or some fire, smoke detectors, etc. But I haven't hear him talking about theft and of
that
panels.
was a big problem.
This could be
Also in Poland and in the UK and in Italy. And it's mainly people say like, oh, it's theft of panels. No, it's theft of cables. The DC cables are stolen, and huge amounts.
interesting.
It's
So it's a smart thief to understand that DC cables are heavy and they're thick, and they can sell that copper or whatever materials
we
they
had
get.
one park was nearly 125 kilometers of cables stolen.
Wow, that's an organized crime at this point.
It's absolutely organized crime. 100% organized. They even go to the park. They look at a region and they're gonna overlook it with Google. Thank you, Google. And like, where are the parks? Where are the systems? Not only ground, also rooftops. And where are the ways that we can get away? And then they're like, okay, I think this one would be the best one to attack. They will make a false alarm. They're going to sit there and look like, what happens? Someone of the security comes or doesn't come. If it comes, it sits in the car, looks at the park, doesn't see anything, and they just drive on. They do it another time again, exactly the same. Like, the guy doesn't step out of his car. Okay, so what we do, we'll detect it. There will be an alarm. We go inside the park. We wait until the security company comes. They look like, oh, nothing there. They just drive away, and then they start stealing everything.
Well, I hope no thief will listen to that podcast, because you highlighted the entire strategy.
They already know it. Really, I believe that if you would go up higher, you will come at one person or one organization. I really 100% believe that it's organized crime.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I remember running cables for commercial side, and it's heavy, it's difficult, but it can be worth some decent amount of money, because at this scale, I mean, we're talking about huge loss. I mean, but
The loss itself, let's say you have 30,000 euros product loss, material loss, but the loss for the insurer
cash flow.
is about 10 times more. So it's 30,000, but for the insurer, it's 300,000. Because we also have to pay, the system needs to be, well, you need to take the time. An expert is coming. He has to figure out what happened and how much is the loss. And then it needs to be maybe designed again. Then it needs to be replaced and repaired. And that cost is all paid. But on top of that, you have the business interruption, which is also going on. You have to pay that too. And that's the biggest part, your business interruption for such a park, which is maybe 2-3 months not working anymore, any longer. So huge loss, could easily go far over the million.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But that's first time I hear about that type of experience with solar installation. So interesting. Yeah, it's new to me, but it makes sense. I mean, they're sophisticated thieves out there.
Yeah, but
I,
if you look really at the money they're earning, does it make sense? I think there's much better things to go and steal and earn more money than the DC cables, because they have, let's say, the rubber around it. You have to take away the rubber to get to the copper. It's a lot of work.
maybe that's just this excitement for them that it's new. It's something that the media will talk about.
Yeah,
Maybe they like
and
it, like we mentioned.
it doesn't make the loss for the insurers is really 10 times more. So the insurers, they would have maybe easier to put a sign at the fence, WhatsApp me, and I'll transfer a little bit of money for you and leave the park alone.
Exactly. Make it simple. Or have the bulldogs. I can imagine they could have that voice notion, voice
Yes.
feature as well, where they would not only ring the alarm and it makes it loud, also talk to them like, "Hey,
That's
stop doing it."
your interview with the other guy who has a robotical dog walking around in the park,
Yes, it's
and it
called the
makes the
bull.
noise of the dog.
Well, no, it doesn't make a noise, but I said it could be. I could be. I mean, it's probably easy. He developed the whole thing by almost like by accident. He was walking through the garage sale with his son, and he saw these, driving cars or something like that, and he thought he was in the solar space. He was actually on the maintenance side, right?
Yeah.
Operational maintenance. And he thought to himself, hey, why don't we build something like that where you don't have to have a human being walking the side or the, security for that matter, and find, your eyes, especially if you walk, hundreds or thousands of rows of ground mount systems, especially in the heat here in the desert, you're not going to catch the little details.
No.
So he came up with that robot to start building. And I think yesterday or on Friday, they announced an acquisition. So I think they got bought out or they acquired someone else. So yeah, I'll
Well,
send
bring
you
him in contact with me. I can start selling that thing in Europe.
Yeah, I think it would be, yeah, it could be gold. That's what I mean. You could easily add it because he develops it. He has a whole team there. He could easily add a feature where, it has a speaking capability. It connects you. I know it sends you a notification to WhatsApp because when something hazardous happens, they send you immediately notification. So
Well,
this could be
it's like a drone, but not from above, but from below. Just what you could
yeah,
do is having the drone flying over the panels and having this robotic dog walking below the panels. So you have from both sides, you have all the information, which would be
yeah.
really great.
That's why they have the cameras. So the drones is one thing, but someone has to operate the drone. They're not autonomous yet. So
Well,
the robot
you have drones who are autonomic. They can
really.
go up out of themselves and fly and come back.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's an
already
interesting.
there.
I wasn't aware of that, but that's why they have the cameras, and the bulldog goes and he learns his own paths, goes back, charges without the infrared
Yes.
charging, and then goes back and goes through the side. It's pretty cool. I'll send you the connectivity with him and send you
Yeah,
the what's
please do that. So,
cool pro.
but it's, yeah, there's, let's say, and if you can imagine that, let's say, theft is a big problem in Europe, it's a big problem in Africa, and every country where they say theft is not a problem here. I experienced that when I went to the UK the first time, when I went to Japan. Harry, we do not have any theft here, and we are an island. Like, okay,
We got hands for stealing in
do you
Japan.
have Organized crime in Japan? Yes, we have. Do you have poor people? Yes, we have. Just wait, you will get theft. And didn't took a year. Called me like, we have theft. I said, yeah, already said that you're going to have it. Well, it's going to happen everywhere where people at a certain point understand the value of what is in such a park. You get theft. That's the case.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately it's human nature, and it's
Yes.
we want what someone else has, and we want to take it for free sometimes, and there are people like that will take advantage of it. But that's a new concept to me, so it's interesting. It looks like an opportunity in the market itself for insurers, for systems, and to protect it, operation and maintenance for those solar farms. I mean, it's definitely a big loss. I can see it from what I was hearing in Poland. If you invest right and you have a good relationship with selling the power, you might see 15 to 20% return on your investment year over year, which is outperforming the stock market and any
Yeah.
different. Then it's pretty safe, to be honest, unless there's theft, and that's why you need insurance or some sort of
No,
protection too.
theft or malfunction of products. You know, if you have a central inverter and goes down by fire, then a big part of your installation is down. You're losing a lot of money. You know, and if that's not covered well under your insurance, well, you could go bankrupt as an investor because of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Or let's say you have a park of 10 megawatt and all the panels have delamination. And then you go back to the panel manufacturer. Panel manufacturer is not there anymore. They're bankrupt too. Yeah.
You do
So
that.
so you still have a park, but the park is not functioning because every panel has delamination and the manufacturer is not there anymore. You got a big problem as an investor.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a big opportunity. I had one of my previous guests as well. He's working on recommissioning systems, so
Yes.
they go after, and he works with a lot of government projects now. So it's been because, like you said, you've been in this space for 17 years.
Yes.
So now it's the time where the first panels stop producing, and it's becoming very popular. I mean, popular. It's becoming almost the time. I guess the time comes. Everything has its time, right? So, the first panels were not made to last for 30 plus years. Most of them, unless you have the top panels, maybe then. But not only the panels. I mean, the wiring. You have
The inverters. You
the
know,
inverters.
some already are killed after 5 years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts that can go wrong. He said that the only thing that stays intact if it's done properly, it's the ground mount, because they're concrete into the ground, they're set in stone, they're gonna last for another 30, 40 years probably without any problem, unless there are earthquakes or something.
Yeah, but then you have the other problem. Like, okay, we could use the mounting structure again, but all the panels. You know, when I started 17 years ago, it was really a small panel. The panel was 110 watt peak. Now they're making already panels from 1,000 watt peak, and they're much larger. So, and in those days, 1 megawatt cost 6.1 million. Now it's less than half a million.
6 million.
6.1 million for a megawatt. Yeah.
That's more than you sell residential in the last 5 years here.
Yeah.
In America, even.
So
where it's more.
If you build back on a mounting structure and you want to, well, refurnish, you want to like take away and put new panels on it, you got already a problem with the structure because the panels are much bigger. So you need to solve that too.
Yeah, that's there are so many different nuances when it comes to solar systems.
Well,
It's incredible.
but it's also not only the size, but also the panels develop. You know, the manufacturer are very innovative, so they come up every time with new panels. Sometimes a panel comes based on a new, let's say, idea, and suddenly, without any knowledge upfront, those panels are gone. Probably they were not good enough and they created a lot of problems. But if you bought those panels, you have the problems too. So I think if I look at, let's say we do a lot of inspections of installations, and in the Netherlands for renewal of your insurance, even if you have an old system, you have to do an inspection again for the insurers that they're sure that the installation is safety and the quality is good. All the systems, none of them comes through the inspection. There's always issues with them. Always. So that means that the installations were installed very quickly in those days because there was a huge demand for installations. So there was also a huge demand for people to install the installations, and they had to learn really quick, but not always in the right way. So because of that, there was also a lack of experience with the installers, and also some things were unknown at that point. So when you go into an old system, yeah, there's often issues which need to be solved before insurance can be renewed or given. And I think that's the biggest problem at the moment all over Europe. When you look back to the older systems, they all need repair and replacement. Nearly all of them.
There's always something that needs an update or an upgrade. I feel I actually sold that idea to one of last year. I was doing a lot of interviews in the solar space as well, and I sold that maintenance idea to one of the installers from Texas. And I just reconnected with him recently, and for the podcast as well. And he said that I help him establish a new division in his company because there's so many different things that go with existing systems go wrong.
Yes.
Like you said, almost, I guess we can say always, because there's always something that will be not operational in the installation that's been installed 10 years ago or 5 years, even 5 years ago in some cases. Like you said, it's installed by humans, so there's an error. The chances of error is very high, and there's not many systems and standard operating procedures to inspect the system by the company that installed it. And I believe it should be a third-party company, especially for larger systems.
Well, that's what happened in the Netherlands. Since 3 years, we have an inspection called Scope 12. And it's not mandatory by law, but it's an obligation required by the insurer. The insurer says you need to do a Scope 12 inspection if you want insurance. And if there are issues, you have to solve the issues to gain the insurance. So that started about 3 years ago. And what I've seen now is that the quality of installation work has increased. The amount of claims, mainly on the storm, when there's a storm, has decreased. So there's an evidence that having this inspection in place has increased the quality of work, quality of installation, safety, fire safety of the installations. But in the beginning, it was only for new installations. And we also have an inspection team. So we set our inspectors to the teams and to the installations once they're operational. At the beginning, none of the installations, all new installations installed newly, none of them passed the test. And that took a long time before the first one passed the tests without any problems. And that installer, we bought a nice cake and we brought it to him, congratulating him with the first installation passing the test.
Wow. That's a cool moment. I hope you captured it on camera or something.
Yeah. So, but now, let's say the installers understand, like, okay, if I don't perform good, the inspector will give me a negative outcome and I have to come back. We have really what an installation now. It's the 4th time that we went back. It's still not good. Yeah. So the installer has to come back and back when, well, because you've been in that business, the margin is not huge. It's okay, but not huge.
They must be angry with that.
So if you have to come back 2, 3, or even 4 times, after the second time, you have no margin.
Oh yeah, and you're angry, and your team is angry, and I remember every installer hated coming back to the site the same day if they noticed something, that they remembered something or anything. Like, they like to set it and forget it type of thing. Yeah. So I can imagine if you go 4 times and have to do something like that.
Exactly.
You
the bosses or the owners of the system or of the installer, like, okay, we need to do it right immediately. Otherwise, we're going to lose money or have no margin. So that sense is growing, and it's really there in the market now. And you see the quality of installation work really increased a lot. It's in the Netherlands, but now we're going to, I think in 2 weeks' time, we're going to Hungary to do a Scope 12 inspection in Hungary. Wow. On an installation, because the owner learned about the scope 12 in the Netherlands and how that optimizes the quality of work. And he wants to be sure that he has a good system. So two of my guys are going there and
Nice.
doing the inspection in Hungary. We also have a request. This morning, I talked with a guy who was involved in a project in Kenya, 200 megawatt, and also wants us to come there with our inspectors and inspect the installation in Kenya. And the same, I'm involved with a project from Matchmaker. And I told let's say, the developer owner about Scope 12 and insurances, of course. And also they want the Scope 12 done in Namibia on their project of 50 megawatt. Yeah. Because
Wow.
it's a really good way for the owner to know, like, hey, what I thought I was going to buy, I really bought it. The system is good. It's functioning as it should. The quality of the products is good. Because the check is really enormously. They check all the panels, all the strings, all the inverters, all the connectors, visually and by meters. So once
Yeah.
that's done, you know really well that your system is good or not. And if it's not good, why not? And then the installer or the EPC can, let's say, repair or replace or whatever he needs to do to get the system as it should be.
Yeah, I'm sure you will get a lot of interest. I heard about Zambia, I believe. It was Zambia, I believe. There was Senegal and Nigeria is becoming popular. I mean,
Yes. And I
they're
think
working.
we'll do more scope 12 inspections outside the Netherlands on request of parties in other countries. And despite it's really Dutch, but the people are like, I don't care that there's no report. Harry, just give me the report you make normally. That's enough for us, because we will put it into the EPC contract that if there's all issues coming out of the scope 12 needs to be solved. Done.
It's good because it's a protection for both sides. I mean, obviously it's an extra step, but I would say it's a needed step
Yeah.
for sure, especially in a large scale. I mean, 100+ megawatt systems. There's a
Absolutely.
lot of
And
things.
you have to mind, like, the scope 12 was invented mainly for rooftop installations, because if it creates fire, the building could collapse with the total loss. And also you got the business interruption of the business activities inside the building. So there's a huge loss. But it's so good that the insurers went on like, okay, we don't want it only on rooftop installations. We want it on ground mounted. We want it on carports. We want it on facade. We want it on floating solar. We want every solar installation that we are going to insure, commercial, utility, not residential. We want that inspected and with a positive outcome. And then we are willing to insure it. It's fully driven by the insurers, and it has shown that the quality increased because of that. There's no way back. The insurers in the Netherlands never ever gonna, let's say, cancel these inspections. It's exactly what they need to be sure that they can accept the risk.
Yeah, no, and it's good so. And
Yeah.
I think there's still the solar industry is still worldwide. Looking worldwide, will still continue to develop. Like you said, we are electrifying every single thing, and electrification continues to rise. At the same time, we need to produce energy somehow, and ideally from renewable energy sources. Why not? It's just common sense. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of moving parts. Moving on, closing the loop on the solar, and now back to you. What's most fulfilling for you, Harry, and what do you do for the last 17 years?
The last 17 years is building this company. There's two things that in life which is really important for me, and that is my business, Solarif, and making a success of Solarif, and my family. And that's it. I sleep, I eat, I work, and be with the family, and that's my life. It's been good. I really love to see the company growing and delivering the services that makes our clients happy. That's the goal. And you want to ask something?
No, I wanted to add that I love the family aspect of it, especially now that we are. I also had a pleasure of virtually meeting your wife. There's dogs around, and it always gives that good aura, that fulfillment. I can sense it even through the camera how it feels, because that's also the direction that I'm heading. It's always obviously business one part, but the family and building something around family. And later on with family, we're, as you know, we're just starting the journey, but it's very, very exciting. So
No,
yeah,
you have a small one, and I'm a little bit ahead of you. I got two kids, as you know, and a girl and a boy, and 27 and 28. And the boy is also working in the company now. So spending even more time with him and seeing him grow, and that's great, you know. And as you see, no, I've got two dogs, and often I take them with me to the office, and they're already one of my best employees, because when I get so like, we need to go, and I stand up, they're already like, yeah, we're going to work.
and the
And
chief,
they bring a lot of joy also to the office, you know. And when the
absolutely.
dogs are here, my colleagues, my employees, they go out walking with the dogs, and that's yeah,
One of my previous guests, he's also in renewable energy, but he's on the building construction side. So he
yeah.
builds whole projects, and he has a long list of employees on his website in their headquarters. And at the end of the list, there is, I think, 3 or 4 dogs, office dogs, and they have all a role, like chief wolf officer or something like
Well, if
that.
you look at on my website, you will find exactly the same. You got all the people, and then you got the two dogs, and one dog is called the mental coach, and the other
They're
dog is called the happiness officer.
the happiness officer. Yes, it's they always bring that joy and the high frequency of good energy.
Yeah, but there's also science shown that having a dog at the office increases the productivity of your employees.
Yes, I agree that. I mean, I see it more often. I'm a big fan of that movement. Even my dermatologist has 3 dog office dogs. So when patients come, they feel much easier when the dogs are around, and you can pet the dog. The dogs are very friendly, very quiet.
Well, my biggest dog, the Labradoodle, he's very protective. So if somebody wants to, let's say, get a delivery of a box, then he's really loud, and he like goes to the door like, oh, you're not getting in. And but he doesn't do anything. It's just barking. That's it. But
Yeah.
people are afraid of dogs barking. Yeah.
I know, yeah, that's your insurance for protector.
Yes.
Exactly. Harry, I asked this question my guests pretty much every time after towards the end of the conversation. So I'll ask you as well. I grant you the opportunity to sit across the table from Harry from 17 years ago, starting a company. What advice do you have for him?
Start earlier, because I was 42 when I started the company. I should have started the company 20 years sooner. As the moment you think, I want to become a business owner, start doing a business owner. There's never, ever a good moment to start a business. Like, oh, but we still have kids. I want to buy a new car. I need a house. I'm not educated well enough. I don't have enough knowledge. Bullshit. Start a company if you want to start it. So I stayed too long at the bank world. There was a chase around my saying, hey, you know, very good salary, bonus, mortgage, pension. I should have started many, many, many years sooner.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's one. And if it gets difficulty, just take a breath, figure out how to move forward. Just be persistent and have perseverance to go forward. Have the willpower to succeed. It's going to be difficult, and you have to overcome it. You have to go. You have to keep on going. There's no way back. Make a success of it, whatever it costs.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, there's always a way forward. There's it's inevitable. You have to deal with the cards that you got played, and you have to play with them.
When I was in the venture capital, and we were investing in startups, and then I saw the numbers like, after 5 years, 60% of all the companies are gone who started in that year. After 10 years, 95% of the companies not there anymore. So if you look at
Wow.
the numbers statistically, you're a stupid idiot to start a company. Because the chances that you will succeed so small. Yeah.
Wow.
But if you succeed, it's so, my company's now 17 years. Like, whoa,
That's like 0.01% probably
you know,
to
it's great,
survive that.
great achievement. But even if it's difficult, and it is, it's worth it. It's really worth it. You start your own company,
Yeah.
look back, like, God, would you want to have missed it? I don't. I'm so happy. 42, still decided to start a company. Best decision ever. And I even worked much more hours than I worked at the bank. So yeah, it's good.
It's yeah, it's I agree with you. I'm on the same page here. It's definitely it comes with, like you said, you have to be a little bit crazy to start a company, but if you have that in you, then by all means, definitely go into starting a business. Go start early as possible.
It gives also so much back. You learn a lot, you experience a lot, you meet a lot of people. In my case, I also traveled a lot over the world. I saw more than 40 countries all over the world because of my company. Seen a lot of people, interesting people, lovely meetings. It really gives value to your life, you know? And I also learned that you asked for lessons. I'll give you one lesson. When I was, let's say, head of the stock and bonds advisory, wealth management, met a lot of really rich people. And and some of them I traveled all over the world and, but I only saw the meeting room and the hotel. How stupid can you be? Yeah. I thought not going to do that. So when I started traveling all over the world and I go to a new city or new country, I always take some additional days off work still every day, got everything done, but took also time to see the city or to see a part of the country for another 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes even longer. And in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of money, so my wife was not with me. But in the last, let's say, 5 years, I take my wife normally with me, and we take some additional days and not only enjoy the business, but also enjoy the culture and the country of the. And that's terrific. Really, that's an advice for everybody. If you're able to do that, and it's not a lot of additional money once you're already there, do it.
Exactly. It's
Do
a
it.
little business side of as well.
Also, that's true, but no, it increases your life. It increases the fun of life. Yeah,
Yeah, the experiences or the memories you can make. It's
absolutely.
priceless. It's
Yes.
priceless to say. Absolutely. And on that positive note, Harry, I wanted to say thank you so much for your time. I know it's late in the afternoon for you, and you're still at the office, still very
Oh, it's
energetic.
already evening now. It's 7 o'clock now in the evening.
7 o'clock, and you're so excited to share and share your stories and lessons. So I'm extremely thankful for that. Thank you so much. Any final words for the audience that you would like to share?
Well, if you want to start a business, don't think too long about what. Everything is already there. So just start something for which you have passion, go for it, and keep on being sourcefulness and enjoy the ride. Even enjoy the ride. It's humbly, it's nice, it's quite a lot of things are going to happen, good or bad, but enjoy it, every piece of it.
Enjoy the ride. That's a great advice right there. Thank you so much for your time, Harry.
Yes, thank you too, Matt.